In most traditional e-learning, we start by giving the learners the information, then we hit them with a quiz to make sure they retained it. Teach, test. And a lot of instructional designers want to do away with that and instead build the learner a path where they're active the whole way through and figuring out the content for themselves. But they're stuck on two things. A, it takes way too long to do that, and B, their topic is too dry, too boring, and they feel like there's no way to make it engaging. So today, I'm going to show you a quick step-by-step process you can use to teach any content actively, because the thing is, topic doesn't matter. Transformation matters. If you're aiming at a real impact, a before and after, you can apply this method. So if you're tired of wondering how to dress up boring content so that learners stay awake, and you want a repeatable process that works on any content, this video is for you. My name is Mary Jo, and after helping hundreds of instructional designers gamify their training, I can tell you that yes, some topics are boring, but your training doesn't have to be. If you want my entire methodology to make training engaging no matter what the topic is, you can book a free call with me at the link below. We'll dig into your challenges and build you a game plan. Now let's get into it. We're going to replace the teach then test model with what I call an active learning string, which is the learner's path between newbie and master. This road has 3 phases: introduce, practice, assess, and none of them are passive. Introduce is where the learners discover the content, but you're not going to be telling them the answers, you're getting them to accomplish a task that forces them to figure things out for themselves. That makes the know-how stickier. Practice is where they apply what they've just figured out so that they build speed, accuracy, and confidence and apply it in different contexts. As they go through this phase, we're gradually reducing the guidance and increasing the difficulty. It's not just blind repetition, it's gradations of challenge. And assess is the final challenge before they go out into the real world, so this cannot be a rubber stamp. It has to be as tough as real life. Traditional e-learning gives you a quiz here, but in an active learning string, this is as hard as the real world. So let me show you exactly how to build one of these. Let's use a real example. Say you're making compliance training about patient privacy for employees of a clinic. What data is confidential, what data can be shared, and when. Normally, you'd learn these regulations and the reasons behind them, and then you'd be quizzed on the regulations, or at best, you'd get scenarios where you have to pick the right response. People's eyes glaze over in this part, which means they don't learn as much, which means the challenge can't be as demanding. But watch what happens when you design it as a challenge. Step 1 of building an active learning string is to design the final challenge. What is it that the learner should be able to do perfectly by the end of the training? This test needs to separate those who can go out in the real world and do well from those who cannot. And designing a good challenge breaks down into 3 parts: core task, difficulty, flavor. So the core task is, once they've been trained, what can the learner do that they couldn't do before? This needs to be a task where failure is possible. In this case, we can say we'll give them a request for customer data and they have to assemble the appropriate response. So here, someone, a lawyer, is asking for 4 bits of information about a patient, some clinical, some personal. In order to respond, learners have to know what data can be provided, what needs to be kept private, and if anything requires extra documentation. Each part of the response needs to be crafted by picking the right parts. So that's the core task. The second part of the challenge is difficulty. So based on the core task you designed, your challenge will have different levers of difficulty. For example, here I'm having to assemble a response. So how many parts are there to the response? That's a lever of difficulty. How many possibilities are there for each? That's another one. How many errors am I allowed? You have to set all of those at a level that matches the requirements of reality. In this case, I have 4 requests, 4 answers to craft. This is how you make sure that someone off the street who hasn't gone through your training can't just wing this and succeed. Not because we're trying to trick them, but because we're trying to prepare them. We're aiming for real-world difficulty. And flavor is the variation or the different ways you can present the same challenge to better match a real-world situation. For example, if it's relevant, you can add a time limit. Or instead of presenting them one at a time, you can let the learner choose which ones they do first so that they can batch similar requests. These are all flavors of the same core challenge. We're always evaluating the same skill, but different flavors will help you better match reality. The most important question here is, when I improve at this task in the e-learning, does it correlate with improving on the job? If the answer is not yes, redesign it. Step 2, once you have your idea for your final challenge, you'll build a prototype of it. Don't storyboard, don't document, go straight from idea to prototype. Of course, in order for that to make sense, it has to be a quick and dirty prototype. You only include graphics if it's necessary to complete the task, like here, if the job is to identify different rocks, you're gonna need pictures. But you don't add graphics for decoration at this point. And you're not gonna put all your content through the prototype, just a sample of it, maybe 1 or 2 scenarios. So get a playable version of it up and running as soon as you have the idea. Step 3 is the hard part. You have to build the introduce phase. This is where the learner encounters the content for the first time, and that's the tricky part for educators because we're used to giving the answers or showing them how to. And now I'm asking you to get them to figure it out without giving them the information. I know it feels a bit stupid to let them discover things instead of just telling them, which would be more efficient, but that's just how you make things stick. If they participate in assembling the content in their head, they'll remember it more. And it's also how you engage them because you're giving them something to do. So how do we teach without teaching? Well, there's a bunch of very specific tactics you can use based on what your content is, but let's go through some basic universals that apply to almost anything. First of all, you're going to take your final challenge and use it as a model for your task here, but you'll reduce the difficulty down to the level where any untrained person can accomplish the task. So here, maybe there's just one component to the answer that I have to craft. Notice that I'm not reducing the difficulty down to 0, but just low enough that an untrained newbie can reason their way through it and succeed. In order to help them with that, you're also going to increase guidance. So maybe they can refer to the regulation here and we'll point out which part is relevant, okay? Baby steps. Now it's easy enough to figure out, but I still have to think through it, so I feel clever and I'm engaged. In introduced loops, you can also give them unlimited tries with immediate feedback. So this is a watered down version of this. Once you have your introduced loop or several loops, depending on what you need, you move on to practice. This part is just making the bridge between introduce and assess, which means you're going to give them more cases to practice with, but as you go, you're gradually increasing the difficulty and you're decreasing the guidance. For example, we might increase the number of components to each scenario up to the part where we have a scenario that includes 4 requests for patient data. At the same time, I'm gradually reducing the guidance down to the level of guidance they'll have in the real world. So if in the real world they have access to the regulation, and I don't see why they wouldn't, then I'll let them have it here too, but I'll gradually stop pointing out which part of the regulation is relevant to the current scenario. They have to look it up, they have to recognize it. You create as many or as few practice loops as you need to cover all the material and give them a nice gradual scaffold up to the final level of mastery. How many loops that is depends on the learner, which is why I like to put in some mechanics that will automatically decide what your next challenge should be based on how well you're doing. But that's another topic for another time. Either way, you end up with a learning path in which the learner is active all the way through. That means they can't be disengaged and thinking about something else because they can't move on to the next level without first demonstrating that they truly master the current level. And by the time they get to the end, they can do a hard thing they could not do when they started. There's a real change here. Is that really going to take more time to build than traditional e-learning? In my experience, not really. Remember, you're reusing your final challenge as a template all the way through this. So to recap, if you want to make even the most boring topics engaging, start with your final challenge. This should be hard enough to correlate with competence in the real world. It's not something anyone off the street can just wing their way through. Then you prototype it. Make it quick and dirty as long as it works. Then you use that as your model for the introduce loop. You bring the difficulty way down, but not down to 0, and you give them enough guidance to figure it out. And finally, you bridge the gap with practice loops through which you gradually increase difficulty and reduce support until they're ready for the real world. When you do this, you stop teaching content and you start building competence. This isn't just more engaging for your learners, it's also a lot more fun for you to build as well. And if you want all the active learning tactics, even for abstract content or pure knowledge, my program, the Effective Gamification Framework, might be a good fit for you. In it, I personally coach you through the exact step-by-step system to design active learning that works with any topic. So check it out below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.